Good evening, everybody. My name is Ishita Arora, and I'm an assistant professor of journalism and mass communication at IIMT Group of Colleges, Greater Noida. The topic of today's YouTube live lecture is effective pitching in corporate communication and how, with an effective pitch, you can get featured in a news platform. So before beginning about what pitching is or how can we write a good pitch, let's understand what corporate communication is. So in the most basic term, corporate communication is an aspect of public relations also. And corporate communication is basically how companies share information to internal and external audiences and engage these audiences in a bid to manage brand perception. Corporate communication is majorly made up of three categories, and these categories are management communication, marketing communication, and company communication. Now that we know what corporate communication is, let's move forward and understand what pitching is, and let's dive deep into how we can write an effective pitch and get featured in any news platform. Before knowing or understanding about how to craft a good pitch, we need to understand what pitching actually is. So, when it comes to defining pitching, we can say that pitching is basically the act of presenting our story as in the brand's or the organization's story, in front of journalists, reporters, or any media outlets so that we can get media coverage in turn. Now, there are a few benefits of pitching as well when it comes to an organization or brand. First of all, obviously, the first and foremost, the most important purpose of it is to get media coverage. Now, when we have got media coverage, we in turn will also get brand awareness. So, for example, if I am launching a clothing brand in the month of November and I want people to know it. So I can effectively pitch my particular brand in front of the people, get media coverage for it, and in turn, people will know that okay, this particular brand is being launched in the month of November, and these are the products that they are going to deal in. Fine. Next, next purpose or next benefit that it can get us is that it can increase our credibility and trust. So, say for example, again, if we take the example of the new clothing brand that I am planning to launch in the month of November, if I get its coverage done in a reputed newspaper, say Times of India, then obviously the audience who is reading that particular newspaper is going to rely or have faith or believe in my brand, and it can increase my sales or my credibility for sure. Now, if we move on, now the first and foremost thing that we need to do before crafting our pitch, it's to understand our audience. Now this means that we need to research about the media outlets and journalists that we are aiming to get in contact with. So we need to tailor our messages according to the target publications that are relevant to our industry or our brand. Secondly, what we can do is that we can identify the journalists who cover our news. So there are times then that there are journalists who are focusing on specific beats only. So we can identify those journalists and approach them to cover our brand or organization. Now, apart from that, we can also understand the audience of the media outlet, and we can research the demographics and interests of the readers or viewers of that particular media outlet and accordingly tailor our message. So how can this help? How can tailoring our message help? Is that it can increase the chances of it being present in that particular media outlet, and also that the audience can relate with that particular brand or organization of ours. Moving Now, the next thing that we need to focus on after we have researched about our target audience, researched about the media outlets' target audience, we need to craft a good headline for our pitch. So, there are some tips that we can follow when it comes to crafting a compelling headline for our pitch. First of all, what we need to keep in mind is that we need to keep it concise. That is, we can aim for 15 words and we should not exceed that limit. If in case we exceed that limit, there are chances that a busy journalist might not pay attention to our particular pitch and might move forward. Secondly, we can highlight any newsworthy aspect. Say we want to tell them what makes our story unique and relevant. So we can highlight that particular aspect, and that will somewhere help us to get into the eyes of the particular journalist. Thirdly, we can use strong verbs and keywords that are relevant to both our industry as well as to the journalists or the media outlets stories or beat. Fine, this will help us increase our brands or organizations visibility for sure. Now that we have learned on how to craft an effective headline for our pitch, we'll move on to how to make our particular pitch stand out, because the journalists are bombarded with a number of pitches in one day and we need to do something or the other so that our particular pitch stands out of all the pitches that the particular journalist has received. So what we can do is make our pitch or our story newsworthy. First of all, the question that we can focus on is our particular story timely, or does it align with the latest trends or events? If it does, then the journalist will definitely pick up our story for publishing in their newspaper or whichever media outlet or platform they're working in. Now, secondly, what we can focus on, does it offer a unique perspective or solution? So, does our brand uh, provide a particular solution that is not existing right now in the market or in the industry that we are existing in? And what sets our brand apart from the current products or brands that are existing around us or are our competition? Thirdly, is it relevant to the outlet's audience's interests? As in, क्या ये जो हमारी जो स्टोरी है, हमारी ब्रांड की जो स्टोरी है, क्या ये उस मीडिया आउटलेट के ऑडियंस की इंटरेस्ट से रिलेटेड है? Will the audience engage with a story like this? If yes, then definitely then the journalist will pick our story and publish in their media outlet. So by highlighting all these aspects in our pitch, we can definitely demonstrate its value to the journalist and to the audience as well. Moving on. So now this slide basically emphasizes on the importance of demonstrating the value that our particular pitch will hold for the journalist. What special can we give to the journalist? What special value can we give to the journalist so that they will help us get media coverage in their particular platform, in their particular media platform? Now, first of all, what we can do is give them expert insights. Expert insights, as in, say, for example, that I'm just representing a company that is developing a new solar energy technology. And our pitch could highlight an interview with a leading engineer who is working in the team of that particular company and can discuss the advancements and potential impacts on renewable energy solutions. And this can obviously help offer some valuable insights to the journalists from a credible source for the journalist audience. Next, what we can focus on is to provide valuable resources to the audience. How? Say, for example, that I'm a part I'm a part of the organization that is launching a new fitness app. So what my pitch could include or mention is the exclusive workout routines or some healthy recipes that are mentioned on that app. Now, this will provide with valuable resources to the audience, and the audience would be interested in a story like this. So, work on our, the journalist can pick our story and publish it for their audiences. Thirdly, we can offer some kind of human interest angle to the journalist. Say, for example, I'm working for an NGO or a non-profit organization, and that particular NGO provides educational resources to underprivileged children. So, my pitch should particularly focus on a specific student who has overcame challenges and um, thrived with the help of my particular program. So this human interest angle can be intriguing for the journalist and can provide value for their story or their audiences. Now, moving on. Now, for your better understanding, I have written an example for everybody. I have taken a hypothetical brand that is a modern Indian wear brand for women, and I have named it as Zari and Company. Now you can see it begins with a subject, and the subject mentions what the email is about. Then we mention the salutations. We mention the newspaper fashion editor's name, and then we go on with our introduction and the email's body. Now, the most important part here to remember is that you have to mention the unique selling propositions, that are the USPs of your particular brand separately, so that the person who is going through the mail does not waste a lot of time on reading our mail. So we can mention our USPs separately. Secondly, we need to keep in mind that we keep our emails short and crisp, because if it is too long, then there is a chance that the person might not as well read it. So just keep it short, crisp, and absolutely to the point. Then you can end the email. You can mention your name, your team's name, or you can also mention your website or your social media handles along with it, so that the person can go through your website and social media handles to ensure your credibility and to see how successful your brand is. Now that we have seen what corporate communication is, we have understood what a pitch is and how to exactly write a good pitch. And now that we have also seen an example of a pitch, I have brought an activity for each one of you who's watching this live lecture. And the activity is for you to know, like, what is your progress after watching this whole video and where do you exactly stand. So basically, I want you to practice and write a pitch for an Indian skincare brand that has recently launched a sunscreen, and you want that particular news to be published in any media platform. The brand has to be hypothetical. You can name it yourself, and you can choose whichever platform you want your brand or your sunscreen to be published in. That's totally up to you. I just want you people to just practice once and see about how well have you understood this topic. Since we are about to end this particular video lecture, I would like to recap whatever we have studied so far. So we began with understanding about what corporate communication is, and we looked at its definition. Then we moved on to understand what pitching is. Post that, we understood how to get to know about our target audience. Then we saw about how can we craft a compelling headline. Then we saw about the value proposition that we can offer to the people in any media platform. We saw how to write a good pitch, the essentials of writing a good pitch. Then we also looked at an example of a pitch that I brought to you, and it was a hypothetical example. Then I gave you a little activity to practice, and now I am opening the session for some questions. If you have any questions related to this particular topic, that is writing an effective pitch, or anything about corporate communication, you're most welcome to mention your queries in the comment box, and I would love to answer them. Thank you for being a part of this YouTube live video. Stay tuned. Good evening again.